darlings. We've been on the short line.
Okay, you're here. Thank you, honey. I'll start my Thanksgiving message this year as I have each year before it. The greatest gift in life is to be able to share any day with those you love and cherish. Well, most of you are here. There are those that are not. You'll always keep in our hearts those that are actually fortunate enough to be with other people and other families tonight. That actually is a wonderful thing. We'll keep those that are departed in our hearts. And most important, we'll keep those that especially those that don't have anyone. And we all have someone. So we need to think of those people tonight. This is a day of football, food, drink, and most of all, reflection. I especially thank Leslie for enduring the work she does and believing, as I do, that this is a very special day for family and friends. You all know I began thinking about my message basically the week after Halloween. Just when I've digested all the Snickers, Kit Kats, and Twix bars. So it usually takes me a week to digest those. This year, like each year before it, I struggle to find the right message, and without exception, something usually hits me the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Before I write this stuff down, I actually sat down this morning, as I do every year, and I look at what I've written in the previous years to see if there's any patterns that develop, and to remind myself of my own messages that I give each year. In 2004, I talked about the progress paradox, if you remember, which was based on 30 years of research showing that while virtually all aspects of life are better than they've ever been in previous generations, we're less happy. In 2007, I talked about generations. I talked about kids, parents, grandparents, the importance of family. I also talked about the fact, back in 2007, that the University of Chicago had a study that showed that women over 55 reported enjoying sex much more.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, that was 07. It was 07, right? It's changed. It's on. But I do remember that I talked. Last year I talked about the challenges we face as a nation, and these issues still unfortunately exist. Throughout all of my messages, the one consistent thing is how much we take for granted. I want to tell you about a friend of mine and a client of mine, Denise Romano. Her husband walked out on her and her two school-aged boys, never to be seen or heard from. She was an Army brat who never had a place to call home. She was also a nurse who said that God gave her 2 arms, 2 legs, and a brain. Living in rural Louisiana, she recognized the need for home nurses and started a small company. She ultimately sold that small company to a larger one. She met her second husband, Alex, who actually sold his small speech therapy company to that same large company. Denise held executive positions in that company, and in 2007, she took her 8 figures that she made and retired at 53. What has always touched me about her, and when we go down to see her and her husband, she insists that we stay in their home, which is a beautiful home, is her humility. She never dwelled on how difficult her life was or how hard she worked. We all know it, Denise. I mean, we all know it, Denise. Her attitude was she had won the lotto when she did this, and she was determined to share it with her friends and family. Denise has been fighting cancer since 2006. Conventional treatments proved ineffective, so Denise set out to find any trial in the United States that would accept her. She endured weekly 20-hour round-trip drives between Louisiana and MD Anderson in Houston because, 1, Alex didn't fly. Alex refused to fly. And 2, Alex was a homebody. He loved his cars, he loved his home, he loved everything. That was his life. And she knew if she moved him to Houston, he would die just taking care of her because he couldn't live without the things that he enjoyed. She was determined to be a lab rat if it would help others versus letting the cancer kill her. She figured, I'm going to let the treatments kill me. I found out Tuesday that Denise is right now, hopefully, going to make it through this Thanksgiving, likely to be her last. Last year, I did make a comment in my message, which I read, that most of my messages tend to be a downer.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
I promise you,
Good job.
I promise you, I do not do it intentionally.
Naturally.
But the outcome is the same. It's a slap in the head. It's a wake-up call. It rekindles our spirit. It reminds us of hope. So, I'm sorry that each one's a downer. Many of us in the family, I've been about 3 more minutes. Many of us in the family are fortunate enough to share a table at an event this year, where the keynote speaker was David Gregory from Meet the Press. What a shock. While you expected him to be poised and articulate, you were not prepared for the humility, gratefulness, and the importance he put on his family. Jeffrey actually spoke with him afterwards. Unbeknownst to me, Jeffrey shared something with David, a coin that he carries in his pocket with one word engraved on it: gratitude. It was a moving moment for me because it's something that's very important to me, and to see Jeffrey share it with him was very moving. Well, lo and behold, the same day I heard about Denise, the Wall Street Journal had an article in the personal journal section on gratitude. My message was finally coming together, and research by Jeffrey Froh, who's an assistant professor of psychology at Hope Street University. These people actually are smart, they have credentials. Robert Emmons, a professor of psychology at University of California, Berkeley, and the University of Miami psychologist had borne out many conclusions. It turns out that gratitude is good. Adults who feel grateful have more energy, more optimism, more social connection, and more happiness than those who do not. They are also less likely, this doesn't count for Jeffrey, they are less likely to be depressed, envious, greedy, or alcoholics. They earn more money. Jeffrey, you're They earn more money. I know. They earn more money, sleep more soundly, exercise more regularly, and have greater resistance to infection. Gratitude is a wonderful thing. As simple as it sounds, though, gratitude is actually a demanding, complex emotion that requires self-reflection. The ability to admit that one is dependent upon the help of others, and the humility to realize one's own limitations, according to Emmons, and who did the study. I'm almost done, I promise. Being grateful also focuses people to overcome what psychologists call the negativity bias. The negativity bias is the innate tendency to dwell on problems, annoyances, and injustices rather than upbeat events. The real benefit of being grateful is it changes how you experience the world. Look for things to be grateful, and you will start seeing them everywhere. Finally, negative thoughts, even if not spoken, can darken your mood. Fill your head only with positive thoughts. Express thanks and encouragement aloud, and look for something to be grateful for, not criticize, in those around you. Knowing all the things that I do that aggravate Leslie. I once told her, and it was not too long ago, when I think I didn't clean the counter for the 5th time that she asked me not to clean the counter. I told her, and I quote, "Honey, if I do some things that aggravate you, that's not a problem. If I do nothing to make you happy, that is a problem. We all need to look for the positives." So as we get ready to be thankful and grateful for the feast we're about to enjoy, do not leave your gratitude on the Thanksgiving table. Take it with you every day of your life. Let's go eat.
Very good. Very good.
audit the name Cora for real life. I got it inside.